you see the national teams struggle, and you're like, why? Well, you have this influx of foreign-born players who have a separate issue over there in the Premier League. Let's face it, it's not, like you said, it's not the league's role to grow the national team. But when the best players in Major League Soccer are American, what does that tell you about Major League Soccer? And what does that tell you about the quality of the national team?
Well, when so you said the best players in the team play for the MLS. Is that what you're saying?
The best players in Major League Soccer are primarily American, and that's not a bad thing. But the thing is,
I would argue against that. I would say that David Villa is not American. I would say Giovinco is not American. I'd say Diego Valeri is not American. I could go through an entire list of non-American stars.
All right, let's rank them. Let's do a quick power ranking of players in Major League
Soccer.
Off
the top of
our
head,
without actually looking at any list. Who is the best player? Is Sebastian Giovinco, right?
I would say Giovinco, and then I'd probably have to go with Valeri. Valeri is top notch, and then honestly,
listeners, I was going to say interrupt. Sorry, Arman.
Yeah.
Comment if you're listening to this. Comment on Twitter. Give us your top 5, listeners, as we go through our top 10, just to see where Americans rank. Okay, so you have, in agreement on this show, Giovinco, Valeri, David Villa. Continue.
I mean, I'm trying to remember. I'm blanking really badly right now.
How about Kyle Lauren?
I don't know if Lauren's really up there right now, but I mean, I guess you could say he's up there.
Okay.
Nikolic, I mean, not right now with his form, but how he was playing.
What about Bradley?
Bradley, I would say is within argument. Man, just off the top of my head, Altidore, I would say he's a top 12, if anything. I'm looking through the current U.S. men's national team roster, and I'm just looking through which players that I think are the best. But like I said, I don't think that the best players in MLS are necessarily American. I think the best American player plays in the Bundesliga.
Well, okay, but let me put it on this. The best American players play against quality that are about as equal stature as it is. Diego Valeri, I mean, how much better is he than Michael Bradley?
I don't think you can compare the two.
Well, okay, but is he significantly better? Like by a whole margin? By a long shot. If Valeri was playing for the U.S. men's national team, he'd be higher up on the roster than Michael Bradley.
I mean, I think they'd be starting together if that's what you're trying to say.
Well, but my point being is the U.S. surrounds themselves with players that are not, tremendously better. They're not going out there and now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, maybe the best players in MLS aren't necessarily American. The marketing behind MLS, it's the American players carry more weight. But I think Michael Bradley playing in MLS has that done more harm for him or good?
For Bradley, it's interesting because he did play well in Roma and in Germany, but I feel like he hasn't declined that much. If that makes, I think just been consistent, like just a straight line. Now, for someone like Kellen Acosta, I think playing in MLS is actually an important thing.
Oh yeah,
because
he's so
it gets him playing time, and a lot of those players that MLS is now bringing in they're on the international stage. They're better. We saw a record MLS players being called up. Like, these players can play on the international stage. I think for some players it's beneficial, but for a player like I'm just looking through a list right now. Like a player like maybe Paul Arriola, maybe MLS, maybe you should go to a different side, maybe a European side. But for some players it's beneficial. For other players, it's not a good idea.
No, I think it changes on the player, right? But
yeah.
Overall, as a squad, We're MLS heavy based, are we not?
Yeah, absolutely.
If MLS is only second best in CONCACAF as far as a league, what's it tell you about the national team? I pull Switzerland as a big example because during the 2014 World Cup, I mean, barely any players from the Swiss league got called up. They were all playing in bigger leagues around Switzerland. And I thought that's a good thing. You're playing against better competition. You're playing against better quality. You're playing with players who are better than you. You learn from that. But the U.S., on the other hand, Bruce Arena pulls a roster of how many players that were, MLS heavy. I think in 16 players from the call-up recently were MLS heavy. So it's like, wow, you surround yourself with what? The same quality players that you surround yourself at the league level. And are you really pushing yourself? Are you pushing each other to get better? Is the talent wise really growing with the national team?
I mean, I think yes. It's because I think when the league grows, I think I think when the league grows, it's gonna help. It's gonna help the national team. The sport grows, and it's gonna help the national team. If we're gonna talk about concerns with MLS and the national team, I think my concern is that we have DeMarcus Beasley starting at left back at age 35.
No, and what the thing is, I think what we have to pay attention to is what is the quality going to be 10 years from now? Think about all these. Kellen Acosta, right? He's 22. He's as old as the league, right? So as the league,
just about, yeah.
As the league improves with quality, and what's important is you need to market to youngsters like, come play for MLS. It's fun. It's a good league to be part of. These players who are growing up in Major League Soccer, these youngsters are finally coming through, starting to peak a little bit, right? Starting to break into the A teams of Major League Soccer clubs. You're going to see, hopefully, the increase in quality as more and more Americans want to play. Because right now, you're still bringing in a lot of foreign-based players. The league, I was looking at a statistic from an article, I think written in 2015. It's like 40% at the time were 40% foreigners, And then in England, it's a perfect example. England, for the longest time, had an overwhelmingly foreign-born soccer players playing for the top clubs at Arsenal, Chelsea, United, and so on. And what did that do to the national team? It brought it down. So you need a league that is competitive, filled with quality, and yet the primary players playing in the league are that country's, original players. Look at La Liga. Why do you think Spain's been so successful? Real Madrid and Barcelona have a ton of Spanish players, and those are the biggest clubs in the world playing in the same country, in the same division.
So are you saying the national team the MLS needs to maybe make a domestic, like a cap or a requirement to emphasize maybe bringing in more American-based players, or what would be your solution? Because
I think it's really hard. For example, Kellen Acosta is in a dilemma. If he were to go to Europe, how much playing time is he going to get?
Probably not that much.
Not that much. So you're better off playing here in Major League Soccer. But then you're not playing with better competition necessarily around you. You're kind of limited to what the league is. And let's face it, it's a growing pain. We're in a growing stage. No, the league's nowhere near to what it's going to be next year or 5 years from now. So Kellen Acosta is going through this, this swing of, yes, let's go play in Europe. But if you don't get any playing time, what's that going to do? Nothing. Probably going to hurt yourself more than it does good. Bruce Arena calling up, a huge population of MLS players. Well, a lot of them get a lot of playing time. That's good. You're going to get a call up to the national team. Yeah, I would implement some sort of thing like, hey, you need to carry some American players, or designate a young DP spot for American. China, they capped it when they were spending left and right. Now it's kind of falling apart. But UEFA has some sort of rule where you have to have a certain amount of homegrown players versus foreigners and you can't bring in this, or there are rules to help the don't come across as xenophobic or nationalistic. It's just you want to grow the sport here in America, and you want to have a successful national team. I think MLS should work with the federation in that sense. I'm not saying it needs to be a partnership, but there should be a little wink, wink, nod, nod.
Yeah, maybe like a designated player spot for an American. That would be very interesting. I think that would definitely promote bringing the biggest American stars into here. I mean, I don't think the issue is necessarily what the MLS has to do. I think it's all about it's focused back on the players. I think the players are a lot of players, you have to realize, are getting relatively older. And when you get older, what do you want to do? You want to come back home to America and settle down. I don't think this is a sign of what are things to come. I think it's a sign of our generation that we grew up with that's getting older. It's time for a change of the guard. I mean, we're looking through. I want to go through players that are less than 25 on the national team, and there's 4. Or 4? I want to say 4.
No way.
No, I'm sorry, 5. 5 that are less than 25. We have Pulisic, who's 18. We have Acosta, 22. Ariella, 22. Bobby Wood, 24. Morris, 22. That's a concerning sign right there. I think that's
Holy crap. That is significant on, and that's where you hit the panic button right there.
And that's where our issue is. I don't think our issue is MLS quality or whatnot. I think we're looking at players are coming back because they're older. That means we haven't really increased our player pool, which is again a sign of development issue.
I mean, you make an excellent point, but what about Matt Miazga? He's a youngster. What about Wickers over there, or Heidman, or Zelen at Arsenal?
Yeah, man. But I don't think it. I mean, I'm not gonna look at them if they're not called up to the qualifying roster.
But isn't Bruce Arena's job to sit there and go like? The problem is they got themselves in this mess. Well, who are you going to call up? You're going to call up the experience. So what MLS is. The thing is, if MLS really wants to be successful, the U.S. men's national team wants to be successful, you got to get youngsters. Christian Pulisic is going to be a name. He's already a name, and it's only growing. I saw a Christian Pulisic jersey at a gas station in the middle of Oklahoma.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm sitting there going like, the cultural revolution's already happening. By just him playing at Borussia Dortmund, by just mentioning his name, people get giddy. I mean, did you listen to the crowd when Christian Pulisic got on the ball? It was like Messi getting on the ball. The crowd stood silent, hoping, oh my God, what is he going to do? What is he going to do, At age 18.
Absolutely. No, I agree. I just wanted the youth revolution is really nice, but I mean, I just want to compare with another side, just so you don't think I'm going crazy. There's only 5 players. I'm looking at the English national team roster right now, and we have Butland, who's below 25. We're looking at Phil Jones, who's below 25. Michael Keane, who's below 25. Stones, who's below 25.
It's basically the Tottenham roster.
Dyer, Ollie, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Shabola, if he got called up, I'm not sure. Sterling, Rashford, it's easily 10. Kane, it's like 11. And like you said, no, Arena was put in a tough spot, and he has to call up the experience and get those players. I don't blame Arena. I blame that the player pool hasn't increased, that we can't find someone else. No, and
yeah,
we're stuck. And again, we mentioned this on the first episode, and we keep coming back to this point. And I think it's such an important point. We're stuck with the same generation of players that we've seen since 06, 2010.
Well, since we were 12. I mean,
since we were younger and watching soccer.
And it's like, I feel like it's just replay. You're just watching the same replay over and over. Besides Christian Pulisic, who's a new name? When are we going to see? Oh, here comes the next Christian Pulisic. For example, Jeff Green was not Jeff Green. Julian Green.
Julian Green.
What was that? But I don't know. Listeners, let us know what you think. Comment, please. U.S. men's national team. Crisis, good, bad, MLS,
yay,
good
nay.
for, nay, yay, blah, blah, blah. Follow us on Twitter, UncSam Soccer Pod. Myself, Steven Jodarand. And then Armand.